I can get Officer on. I don't have him on WhatsApp or X. Officer, if you're on X, man, I need to send you a link, son. Copy link to WhatsApp, newsfeed, Gmail. How can you not copy? Sorry about this, guys. Bear with me. Cheers, mate. So yeah. So anyway, guys, I'm going to start because obviously turn the slide around a wee touch. Um, this was the bad news today from Richard, and his mother. So obviously, I'm going to start the night off by telling Richard and his family that obviously my platform are full of Christians and like-minded souls, and we've got nothing but love for Richard Inman and the work he's done for the movement, for want of better words, just for common sense, for trying to protect children and trying to make sense of everything that's going on in this country. And the amount of work he's put in and that, I mean, it's quite remarkable, to be honest with you, and probably the amount of money he's probably put in as well. It's Arthur at X. Okay. So yeah, we'll be mentioning Richard a couple of times, and out of respect, you know what I mean. 2 seconds, guys. Get this young man on. Yeah, so I'm going to be talking a wee bit about grief and that, guys, as well. All right, wee Cammy, young Cammy. Everybody say hello to Cammy. Cammy's a local boy around here. Who he is. Apathur X is Apathur XX. Apathur. Ab. Abathur. And then it's a wee tick, wee line into X. Got him. Got him. Follow back. Okay. So it's going to send direct. So waiting on my man to come in. Should be coming. Oh, I need to change this again. Don't I? No, I'm in the right thing. I'm right thing. So I might have to come off again, guys, and do this again. I have sent Officer getting my phone. So I've sent the invite to Officer, guys. So I was just saying, we'll wait for him to jump on. Just saying about Richard's mum. I'm not going to go on about it because I don't want him coming on here and watching this and it, mean too much. I mean, listen, nothing but respect for the man. So totally understand where he's come from and everything he does. 100%. I would support him anyway, even if he wasn't involved with the movement, because he's an ex-soldier, and as we know, what our ex-soldiers are going through today, because of our government. I just think you there, mate. So you should be coming in. There we go. How you doing, son?
Hey there. Just sorting out a few odds and sods. So
yeah, you do that. You do that, and I'm just going to reach out to my followers, mate.
No, I'm just saying, just sorting out a few odds and sods and what have you. So,
right.
What's to discuss about?
Yeah,
about what?
Just talking about Richard, mate. Richard lost his mum. I think it was last night, yesterday. So just got him in our thoughts. He's one of the biggest faces that we've got, as you know, because you've been around a long time. So you've seen how long Richard's been with us and stuff like that. So yeah, it's not something we could just bypass and not mention. You know what I mean? So just want to say, like, our heart goes out to Richard and his family, you know, at this really difficult time. And being somebody that's lost a mother, you know, I know exactly where his head will be. And it doesn't make a difference what age you are. It doesn't make a difference if you're 8 year old or you're 80 year old. You know, a mother's son is a mother's son, and there's no relationship on earth like the relationship of a mother and a son. You know, not everybody has good relationships with their mothers. You know, I'm not gonna, you know, there is some mothers out there that you know have different issues, but you know, in general, it's a rule of thumb is you know every son loves a mother. You know, so it's going to be a difficult time. So R.I.P. Richard's mom. You know. So how are you, young man?
Yeah, I think there's a lot you said there that I don't think anybody can really fault, to be honest. I mean, I have been doing my politics since 2018, and I have seen Richard Inman quite a few times, whether it was what happened with Panodrama, Tommy Robinson's first appearance outside of what was it, the Old Bailey, and
Yeah,
seeing all the rallies that have been going on, and just to see how much effort Richard Inman puts into these rallies is phenomenal. Like,
yeah,
he
yeah,
could have just easily just stayed in Ireland and
yeah,
supported Tom and the rest of them from the backbenchers, but no, he's gone above and beyond to try
yeah,
to make sure we can go there and show our support as well.
yeah,
And I think everyone is going to have a point in their life where they do end up losing someone close to them,
yeah,
like their mothers, their fathers. I didn't really start my activism at the time when my grandfather died, God rest his soul, but I remember how much he used to care in his own little way. So I can definitely sympathize with Richard Inman on this. And as you say, my
yeah.
heart and condolences go out to him, quite frankly.
Yeah, yeah. It is. And the thing about Richard, he's like an unsung hero, isn't he? Obviously Tommy is Tommy, but Richard has always been in the background. He's never been one. He's never. It's only been recently. It's only been since Southport. I think that Richard's actually came out a wee bit more, and I think it's because he's been forced to more than anything. Just with everything going on with Tommy and stuff like that. But he has been like, he's not one of them ones that likes to take any gratitude or anything. He's not there like trying to milk anybody. A lot people like Richard stand out. I think. Do you agree? Like in our movement, people like Richard stand out from the rest. Without saying too much, I don't want to get this into a tit for tat or anybody thinking we're talking about anybody. But there is certain elements, certain places that aren't savoury, I don't think. But Richard is a 110%. He's in it for the cause. He's in it for the future of the country, and he's in it for the future of not only his kids and grandchildren, but all our kids and grandchildren. And it's no easy. It's fucking no easy doing this. Like yourself, we worry about you. Like my followers, like quite a lot of my followers are friends from all my life. You know what I mean? I've got people on here that I've just met, and I've got people on here that I've known all my life. And so I'm able to talk to quite a lot of people on WhatsApp groups and stuff like that. And like we worry about you. And we have spoken in WhatsApp groups and talked about you and stuff. We know it's all good. And a lot of people don't realize how long you've been doing it because you've had two different YouTube channels. Do you want to touch on what happened with the first YouTube channel and why? If you don't want to, got no problem. If you want to touch on what happened, tell us about how it grew, how you started, and what happened that you had to start another one and start it all over again.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. So effectively, I started out with the first YouTube channel, which was named Dabima, Dabima. It's basically "Am I Bad Backwards?" And I probably was a little, but
Yeah,
anyway, the whole point of that channel, I started out, I believe, 2018. I think it was mid 2018, and it was at the point where I think Tommy Robinson was being harassed by one of the Daily Mail journalists, or
yeah,
maybe I was right first time.
yeah.
The
It might have been that Lizzie Dearden. Lizzie Dearden.
yeah, sorry, I didn't catch that.
Lizzie Dearden. I think it was that Lizzie Dearden you're talking about.
No, this was James Field that went out of their way to go to I can't remember my head. I don't think it was Tenerife, but it was holiday, and then he ended up getting harassed while him and his kids and his wife now were out basically enjoying a holiday, and then he's getting harassed by some mainstream newspaper rag journalist, basically trying to discredit the guy, do another hit piece, as the usual mainstream narrative is. And then, of course, Tommy, being Tommy, who he is, basically turned it all around and put it on him. But I ended up putting a complaint in to the IPSO, and I'm still trying to remember off the top of my head what they stand. I think it's the Independent Press Standards Organization.
Right.
So I might have gotten it wrong. But effectively, I put in a complaint. Now, I was a third party, I will accept that, but they effectively ended up dismissing my complaint that Tommy Robinson's human rights under Article 8 were being violated, the right to a family and private life.
Yeah.
And I ended up coming along basically because Super J ended up struggling with words now, ended up advertising that video in particular, and I went from having like 100 people viewing that video to all of a sudden I'm looking in the next day and I'm like, there's like 7,000-8,000 people, and then all of a sudden my channel just exploded.
Yeah.
And unfortunately what ended up happening later down the line was, as I was building up my channel and what have you, with all my support for Tommy and downplaying the mainstream media and what have you, was my sister ended up getting involved in this. And I try not to speak too much about my sister, as I don't want to come across as a guy who's holding a grudge or ill will or what have you. But effectively what happened was, one day in this house that I'm sitting in right now, she came along, she saw me doing my channel, she basically threatened me point blank, either delete the channel or I'm disowning you, which I thought, how on earth can you basically put it down to this when she basically thinks I'm all far right and all that, and under the brainwashed rhetoric of the right wing. I even had people come on and say that I was being groomed, of all things. Ironically, I am autistic. I've mentioned this a few times in my videos. I am autistic, and that I technically come under the category of a vulnerable person who could be brainwashed, but I'd like to move on. At least I think so, anyway.
Yeah. I don't think you can come on to YouTube and put your face out there without having some sort of common sense about you. There's no two ways about it. You wouldn't last 5 minutes. You wouldn't get any followers, and you would probably be shut down. So how long ago was that when you first started?
2018 when I first started, and it was around 2021, 2022 when I had I got threatened, delete the channel, or it'd be disabled.
Right.
So I've been doing this for about 6 months.
Right. Well, you've done no bad. I don't know what you're at. I think we're pretty much similar. I think we're in about the 3,500, 4,000. But as you can see, as like my channel, when I started doing this channel, I started doing it because some YouTubers had went silent because of the arrest. And because of my experience in prison and my experience with the law, I thought I would start doing these to set a marker for people, to let people know that what you can criticize, what you can say, what you can't say. You know what I mean? Because it is quite scary for a lot of people, especially in England. And this is what I worry about with you as well. It's just like you see what happened to Silver Fox. It's like normal rules do not apply. This is what you got to understand, bro. Normal rules in Great Britain do not apply anymore since Labour's getting in the power. These are far left extremists. There's no two ways about it, and it scares me how far they will actually go.
We've clearly seen that.
Yeah, it is, and I will, and followers, I will get the messages I have. Let me just jump on it. Just caught something on my eye there, man. I need to double check this. James, what happened to Lady of Our? Am I seeing Lady of Our's channel's been taken down? Let me see. She got a chance to appeal the decision, or have they just nuked her channel? Yeah, I'm already subscribed to her on her account, Paul. Thanks, Susan. knew it was coming. Oh, Suzanne, we'll find that out later on in the thingy, you know. Um, so yeah, my biggest concerns were just because you were getting so emotional and passionate, and sometimes we run with our heart instead of our head, and it can be dangerous on these platforms. You know, it's basically Arthur son. It's like one word, one sentence, one slip of the tongue could put you in prison. That's where we're at today, you know.
Just like that.
And yeah, yeah. And to be honest with you, like we don't want to see anybody going to jail, but certainly not yourself. You know what I mean? And the jails are overrun by Muslim gangs. You know, I've got ears on the ground and quite a lot of, well, not a lot of jails, but enough jails in enough places to know what's going on. And it's quite scary. I would be scared to go to an English prison, and I'm scared of nothing. And I would be scared to go to an English prison right now, bro. You know what I mean? You know, I had to think about the Tommy Robinson rally. Um, you know, one of the factors of me not going to that was an underlying fear of being arrested. You know, and I'm not thinking to say that because normally I wouldn't really bother, but with the baby, I've got responsibilities and all that. But there was that wee bit of a fear of getting arrested and thrown in a jail, and then the screws going, "Oh, that's Freedom Dad. He's a far right channel," and then you're targeted. That's all it takes, you know what I mean? And I've got no doubt in my mind than what I'm hearing that there's a lot of right wing guys being targeted, you know. And you know what's happened. We've had the guy who put the bacon on the mosque handles. I'm sure he died, did he not, in jail? Or was it the guy that done the leaflets, done the stickers? One of them two has died in jail. And then we had the most recent, you know, suicide. You know what I mean? So I'm aware of prison. I've been in prison and I have seen people get on alive in prison. And I have seen one particular one where it was put down as suicide, because, if you do that to somebody and leave them in a cell like that, and there's no cameras on the land and the screw opens the doors, there's no proof, it's the kind of thing that somebody can do on their own, but you can also help them do it, you know what I mean? So prisons in England are very, very dangerous right now for people like us. And that's why we have to be double careful, double. And anytime, if I ever, like, I wouldn't be a fellow patriot if I wasn't to say, do you be careful? If I was just to let you run, like some people might do and go and take it for entertainment because it is entertaining. Let's be honest, you're funny. When you come out, you're quick witted. You remember all the wee slang words and all. You're funny. It's interesting. If anybody's down in the dumps, just go onto your channel and you will guarantee to put a smile on somebody's face. And that's the kind of YouTuber we definitely don't want to lose. You know what I mean? And that's all that it was about. It wasn't about calling you out or trying to do anything. I'm not one of them channels that really wants to grow too big. I'm quite happy with like a core base. Like, to be honest with you, a couple of thousand is more than enough for what I want to do. It's that's but I do believe that any more than 10,000, then the YouTube channel changes. You have to change because you can't keep track with everybody, and you can't have favoritism. You can't. It is difficult with about 3,500 people. I'm getting about 300, 400 people that are interacting every day, and I can manage that. I can manage the comments and any other messages from X on anywhere else. I can manage that. But I think if it was to go any bigger, I wouldn't be able to manage that. But my channel is based on mental health. My channel is about mental health, mental recovery from childhood abuse, recovery from grieving, whether it's loss as a young age or loss as an old age. Everybody suffers grief no matter what age. And it just happens to be that we're in a time right now of grooming gangs where working class kids are again being affected, just like us when we were kids back in the 80s, 70s, and 80s. It was politicians. I'm not kidding you on. It's like it's if you research it, it's known. You know what I mean? But even to this day, it's still kept a lot quiet because they're all covering up for each other. Because each one that comes, each group of politician that's abusing children, the next group protect them. You get me? And it keeps working like that, and that's going to keep on happening until we change Parliament, i.e., get rid of the private school boys and get decent working class men in there. What's your take? So, what's your take on the direction Britain's going in? And if there's anything you want to ask me about, what do you think? I think what direction we should go. If you want to talk about um, civil unrest or what we can do that way, and I can like talk to you and explain to you why it might work or why it won't work. Far away.
Yeah. So effectively, to start off with, I didn't really think you were per se calling me out.
Yeah.
I think I was more shocked at the fact that someone was actually responding to me in the first place more than anything, because it's like, well, shit, someone's actually responded to me. So that was more what I was shocked about more than anything. But
Yeah.
as far as the direction of the country, I do agree that we're completely heading the wrong direction as far as this is concerned. We are little prisons in our houses right now when we speak out about certain things, like, as you say, the grooming gangs, the two-tier policing, the two-tier justice, and of course, the biggest problem of them all, Keir the traitor Starmer, who is effectively driving this country underwater at this point. I'm surprised we haven't got the fishmen coming out to say hello to us at this point, because at the end of the day, that's what's happening right now. We are literally being sunk as a nation. We are importing millions of people, some of them legal, but there is quite a few that aren't actually coming through via the right channels or legally or with the intent to integrate with society. And I know a lot of people, when I first started speaking out about all this, they were saying, oh, far right and you're racist, of kick out all foreigners and all that. Like, no. I have never made it a mentality of we should kick all the foreigners out and be like, this is England. Far from it. I have no problem with people that come over, whether it's from America, whether it's the United Arab United Arab Emirates or some other country. I don't care, as long as you're willing to abide by our rules, respect our cultures, and respect our beliefs. And unfortunately, we're seeing a lot of people who just don't respect that. And because of that, that's why we have the situation we're in, where we have Keir the traitor Starmer basically importing the third world into our country, to be perfectly blunt. They are importing the third world, and it won't be too much longer before we end up calling this place, I don't know, Great Britannistan. And that's a cold bit of truth on the matter. I don't know what you think.
Well, you look at what was his name? What's his name? What do you call the vice president in America? Vance. Vance said France says Great Britain will be the first Muslim country with nukes. It was a joke, but I'm one of them kind of people that you ever say when people take the piss out of you and you get angry and they go, "I'm only joking." You get me? I'm one of them people that think, well, if you say something detrimental, it's come into your head to start with. Now, whether you turned it into a joke or not, it still came into your head to start with. So we can use that concept with Vance. It came into his head to start with for him to say the joke, and I never thought anybody would be joking ever in my lifetime about Britain becoming the first Muslim country to own nukes. And there is evidence that we are going down that road. It doesn't take a fucking rocket science, mate, to work out, to do the math. Population growth, birth rates. It does not. Nigel Farage says 50 years. I honestly think there's enough now. If all the men and women, foreigners now today, had 2, 3 children each, 20 years' time, 18 years' time, 16 years' time, they'll be voting the way the Labour government are going. 16 years' time, all the children from all the foreigners who've come into this country will be able to vote, and at the same time, we're not having children. Our children won't be voting because we're not having children, Yeah, but
I mean, you're absolutely right on that. I think a lot of people, and I'm partly guilty of that myself. I basically social
Yeah.
bullying. Part of that is because of my. I also have to take some of that responsibility because I haven't gone out.
Yeah. Well,
I have to take some kind of accountability for that myself. But you're absolutely right. Reading and making lots of children, making sure that Christian country.
yeah.
I may not, just like Richard Inman,
Yeah.
because I actually put out my video on that. But all the people that live in this country who put blood, sweat, and tears, in some cases literally, to build this country.
Yeah.
And if we don't start actually, we're going to be is we're going to see a massive shift in the demographic. A new religion that ends up taking over, and I think
Of course.
Freedomdad73.
And for anybody out there that's thinking, well, hold on a wee minute, maybe it won't be that bad. Maybe a Muslim parliament won't be that bad. But all you got to do is go on what we see already. We take Khan, look at the damage he's done. Look at Christmas has disappeared in London. Look at the state of the Christmas tree. There's nothing that would they're decorations, but they're not Christmas decorations that they're putting up. And then you look at what do you call him in Scotland, the First Minister. God, I've lost his name. Hans
His name is.
We've seen how you behaved in power. You know what I mean? But it's like we have got evidence of what direction these people want to go once they get into power. And straight away, Hans Yusuf was not happy that there were so many white people working in powerful positions in a white country. Now, that is a statement, another statement I thought I'd never say in my lifetime in this country. But this is where we're at. And the thing about children, let me just say this about children with people. But I'm 55, and I've just had my first child. So never think at any time that it's ever too late. And to be honest with you, I think you're just a realist. Um, if you're not in a position to give your child everything that the child deserves, or in a position to
Yeah.
be able to afford the child, then you're not going to just go out and selfishly have a child because you at that particular time want one. Today a lot of men and women are thinking, it's hard. I've got mates that are working really hard, doing 50, 60 hours a week, mate. I swear to God, and they're skint come 2, 3 weeks. They're skint because they're running out of money. And I don't know how anybody is meant to bring a child because I know how difficult it is. I know how much it's costing, and it is really, really difficult. And I don't work for all different reasons. And it's not like I don't. I'm fit, healthy, and all the rest of it. More mental health reasons than anything else. But I'm always open for anybody or opportunities or any. It's not. I have tried. I do try, and I keep on losing my temper, getting in fights, causing trouble, causing the business owner trouble. And all sorts. It seems to be a reoccurring pattern with me, and I am getting psychological help for it. And it's just to do with childhood abuse. And 30 years being in prison as a child, being treated as an adult as a child, and it has repercussions. It does. It never leaves you. Like it's a mental health because you can't see the damage. Then you can go a couple of years with mental health and look okay. And then something happens in your life, and you just take a decline. But as far as children are concerned, don't rule it out. You know. But I'll also tell you this: if you sit there manifesting that you're not going to have children, you won't have children. You know. So you got to be careful what you don't wish for, as well as what you wish for. Hello, my dear. You okay?
I understand that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I do agree. And as far as your personal thing is concerned, I guess in a sense we all have our own little inner demons. I also put out that video about how I felt like I'd failed to defeat my demons, the gambling and what have you.
Yeah,
But there are
yeah,
some other things that have not been mentioned because I haven't been able to mention them. And that is with the very first company that I started working for. Can't reveal the name yet,
yeah.
but I know for absolute certain that my NDA on that, I'm pretty sure it expires either in May or June. So I'm just going to give it a couple of months just to be tentative. But all I can say on that thing for the time being is there was a deal effectively made for what went on in there, put simply. And that's why I'm not able to speak to it about it, sorry, but I will in the next like 5 or 6 months. We all have our own personal problems to deal with.
Yeah.
And as you said earlier, as far as my emotions, because sometimes I do get very impulsive. And as far as my emotions are concerned, I do wear my heart on my sleeve. So next time you see my arm, you see a fucking bulge here. It's not the biceps, it's my heart. But anyway, the bottom line on that is I have always been very passionate, very emotional with what I do, and sometimes I do end up going off onto the deep end. And the cold bit of truth on that is that it's to get past that.
Yeah.
So that's the way I look at that.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
but you're in a good, you're in a really good position, and for things, 2 seconds, you go on by. Let me know when you're on by so I can cover this up. 2 seconds, guys. Just let my partner get by. So basically, what was I going to say there? You're in a good, this
yeah,
is a good opportunity, like the YouTube channel, because of the way our YouTube channels are treated by YouTube, we're not put out to just anybody, and any people that are on our channels are dedicated patriots that are just like us. That's what attracts people to certain YouTube channels. They recognize something, and this is what I'm saying, like personal stuff. Don't be shy to talk about personal stuff because you'll get nothing but love. We don't really get many trolls, and at the end of the day, we deal with trolls. We don't get any arguments. We just delete them, get rid of them. But your YouTube channel and your YouTube followers are there for you as well as you being there for them. It is a two-way street, this YouTube thing. It really is, and I don't think a lot of YouTubers realize that. A lot of YouTubers, they've just got everybody's got different attitudes, But my personal advice to you would be, don't be scared. Get your, I know you can only talk so much, but when the time comes, get your inner demons out. You'd be surprised how many people will be very like you. You'd be surprised how many people have went down that road with the gambling. And when you're talking about addictions, you're talking about every addiction. It's all the same sort of. It's all the same concept. It's coming across something, enjoying it, and it getting a grip of you, and then you don't know how to get rid of it. And you can put that with alcohol, drink, drugs, everything. It's not just gambling, and they all have as horrific outcomes if it's not dealt with, right? And I always think when I'm talking about stuff, personal stuff, when I started doing it, it was really difficult. But I'll be honest with you, like one of my first videos, who is Freedom Dad, that was one of the hardest videos I've ever made. And but the reaction I got was what made me realize that, hold on a minute, I'm getting people here saying I'm like that. I didn't know this. I didn't know. I thought it was just me. And just that alone, even if it's just one person that comes on and sends you a direct message and asks saying, listen, Arthur, I've been struggling with this and I didn't know that, or something that you've mentioned, they put a light bulb in their head. And, that's the good side of YouTube. It's not just about, getting the rhetoric across of our politics and what we think the direction we should go in. It's also about helping other patriots because there's no help out there. Britain is in such a bad state right now. NHS is crumbling. Mental health teams are non-existent. The
yeah.
waiting list for children is like 2 years. They've left school by the time they get to see a mental health team. Go ahead, buddy.
But I'm just going to get a drink real quick and get my. So back in a minute. You reminded me. Thank you.
Right, guys. I just want to say hello to everybody that's come on from Arthur's channel. This is the first time you're seeing me. I hope it's not the last. And same for my followers. I think I've already done a video. See, Arthur doesn't know I've already mentioned him in one of my videos and done a wee bit about him, and sent some of my followers to him a wee while ago, eh? And that's what it's all about. It's about sharing the love, guys. You know what I mean? And we're all here to help each other. I'm just going to run through to say hello, Paddington. John, how you doing, son? Eddie Cool, good to see you. Chucking and Jiving TV. I fell in love with the belly dancer, and her name is. I like that, man. Sure, mate. I'm skint next day after payday, and I do work. Yes. Willow Furry, good to see you. James, good to see you. John, always good to see you. John Capone, that's one of my good friends there. Uh, Los Pensee, your message has been redacted for some reason. Um, Lord Krishna, Lord Krishna, Willow Furry, Carafar, nice couple. Paddington. If you anybody at the when we come to the near the end, anybody wants to ask Arthur any questions, I'll say right, guys. Oh, John, nice to see you again, buddy. Lucy, great to see you again. Anybody's got any questions for Arthur? We'll knock them out at the end. So just have your questions ready. But yeah, no, it's good to get you on the platform. I know my followers have been doing my nothing since I've said that you might be coming on. You know what I mean? Because I'm trying to do it where I've got a guest on every Sunday. It's not guaranteed, you know what I mean? I was actually trying to get quite controversial. I don't think he's actually the leader. I think or he was the leader of the National Front. You know what I mean? And he's got a YouTube channel on that, like you know what I mean. So I'm trying to get him on just to try and understand if he is far right, like because it's the only people really saying this is the far left. And I'm sort of I'm a wee bit guilty of jumping on that bandwagon and assuming a lot here. There's a good possibility that he's got absolutely nothing to do with the National Front anymore. And, I'm a great believer that we all make mistakes in life and everybody should be forgiven for mistakes. If you keep making a mistake over and over again, then that's different. But, I've done things in my day when I was younger, made mistakes as an adolescent. And, you know, I, if I was to let them kind of things hold me back, I would never get anywhere in life. You know what I mean? And you've always got to remember that it's very easy to judge. This is the problem as well with Nigel Farage. You know what I mean? He's not letting anybody in because anybody's got a criminal record on getting anywhere near the party, and that doesn't make any sense. It does not make any sense because we should have a wide variety of people in all politics from all walks of life. You know what I mean? So how long do you think we've got Labour for? Do you think they will go the 4 years?
Absolutely not. I'd
No.
like to hope they're not as well, basically. I mean, that is humble opinion and subjective as always, but I cannot for the life of me see Keir the traitor Starmer lasting 4 years. I mean, he'll be lucky. If I was to be realistic rather than my hopes, I'd probably say he'll be lucky if he sees it 1 year, let alone four. Or 5, or however long the bloody term is. I swear to God they keep extending it to some degree. See the guy serving his full term. I think he knows damn well how much the British people hate him. Currently sitting on, what was it last time I checked? Was it like a -4 approval rating?
Yeah.
It's absolutely astronomical how bad he is. I don't think we will ever have, and this is my genuine thoughts on this. I don't think we're ever going to have a prime minister as bad as Keir the traitor Starmer for the next 100, maybe the next 1,000 years.
I agree. Totally agree. I've never experienced. I never thought I'd see a day that we would be in this position in Great Britain. But it's like this is the thing about the Tommy Robinson. This is we're here in this position because of the silencing that they've done. They have really, really. We're in a really bad position right now because they've persecuted Tommy Robinson because he was one of the ones who was trying to warn everybody what's coming. And now we're at that stage where we can look around now, we can see exactly what's coming. And I do think, I don't know if you agree, I personally think it's too late for England. That's what I personally think. I honestly think that England is now on a path to a complete change of civilians, if for want of a better word. I really do. I think as the years go by now, the Brit- national British people will start dropping off, and one will go down and one will grow. And I just think it will get. I don't think anybody can really understand how bad, how quick it will go. I think it's a wee bit like a dam. So the water comes up to the dam and it rises, but once it gets over, it just floats. So you know what I mean? It's a wee bit like that. I don't think people realize everybody's like it's like yourself as well. You're saying we'll fight and we'll resist and all the rest of it. And like I say, that's the kind of rhetoric that the government want us to keep saying because they believe if we keep believing that one day if it gets that bad we'll come out onto the streets and we'll fight. If the government think that's the only thing that we've got, then they're laughing because they know there's no fight on the street. They know that they will conquer us on the street. So if we're sitting here constantly thinking, well, no matter what happens, if it gets that bad, we'll come out onto the street and it'll be okay. It's not going to be okay. It needs to be sorted before we're at that stage. We need to get people awakened and get people with a wee bit of common sense to run for power. Simple as that. Local elections. That is how we do this. There is areas in England that will always have Muslim Lord Mayors, Muslim councillors because they're Muslim areas. There's nothing we can do about that. Them areas are now gone as far as walking your dog in the park, women wearing short cut skirts, clothes off the shoulder. No, it is the truth. You've seen the advertisement boards of women in bikinis and they spray over them and they're really angry about it, and you see Angela Rayner and all that bending over backwards for them. Them particular areas, there's the British culture is gone. You see the advertisements are in Arabic. You see the state of the areas, and I hate saying this because it does come across as if you're a hateful person. But you've seen the videos of Sheffield. You've seen the videos of some of these areas in Bradford. The rubbish is piled high on the streets. Men and women are cooking animals on the pavement. They're stealing seagulls and swans. It's
Yeah.
unbelievable. And it's like the council are scared to go into these areas. Why? Why? What's going on with some of these cities? Have you? Because you're down there. I'm in Scotland. You're in England. What is happening? Can you see the change yourself, like with your own eyes?
I haven't seen a massive difference in Norwich,
Right.
frankly, because I don't really explore that much because I've never been very geographically proficient. But what I do know is that I have tried to look into some of the ways that, for example, what Tommy had said about Luton, how there was like 4 mosques when he first started talking about it, and then all of a sudden it went up, bam, there's like 40, 50 of them.
Yeah.
There's Islamic centers coming out everywhere, and
Yeah.
it's popping up like you wouldn't believe. It's like whack-a-mole. One goes down, like 5 more come up, and it's like it's just no end of it, the way
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
slice it. But
Yeah.
there is definitely a very big culture change here. We are
Yeah.
seeing more and more. Nowadays, you'll be lucky if you go down the street and you get on the bus and you're able to speak to someone who speaks English. And let me be clear, I have no problem with people's languages and what have you, but I don't want to see, like, for example, if I live in the USA, I expect naturally a lot of the people on the bus to speak English. You wouldn't get on a bus in England and expect the entire bus to be speaking Chinese or
Yeah.
speaking Japanese or speaking Indian or whatever. Like, you expect to at least be able to have a few people that are able to converse with you, and you are able to see a significant difference in societies. And seeing just some of the videos of some of the stuff going on, where we have people that are going out celebrating what's happening as far as what was the guy Khalid Mahmood who did the London Bridge attack,
Yeah.
and we've got people sitting there chanting and all that, basically celebrating it, and like you can't even recognize London anymore.
Yeah.
You just look at it and you think, have I just entered London? Or have I just entered the Islamic Republic of London?
Yeah.
Quite frankly.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, it doesn't make any sense. There's like if I always look at things logically, Arthur, and I always expect people to behave how I behave. It's as simple as that, man. It's like I expect exactly like I'm respectful and kind and generous, and I don't expect people to be generous, but I expect people to be respectful and kind. You know what I mean? And the thing is, if I was to go to any other country and settle there, I would learn to speak their language. I would integrate. I would want to become part of them. So, it would be. I think it's interesting, diversity and multiculturalism. I really do. I think it's an amazing thing, but it's one sided. They're coming over here and they're changing everything to their way. They're not entertaining our ways at all, and that's not fair. I couldn't go to any other country and change all their ways to the way I want it and totally disregard their ways. That's it's not acceptable. And I don't know what planet these politicians are to think that we're going to sit here and accept people coming in and expecting us to change our ways and traditions that we've been used to. Because the English way, the British way, the Irish way, there's nothing wrong with it. We have like the amount of, well, not so much now, but London, Ireland, these were big tourist resorts. The amount of money that Ireland and England are losing because nobody wants to go there anymore because everybody's on X and they can see the women that's being attacked in Ireland. They can see all the watches being stolen in London. They see the acid attacks. They see the machete attacks. Who's going to go to a city where guys are walking about holding on to their Rolexes? That's nuts, nuts. You know?
And who's going to want to go down there when you've got the constant threat of people coming out like they're about to go to war, literally?
Yeah.
Like, it's quite wrong.
Yeah, listen, I'm listening. I'm just putting the cap.
No, it's all right. But it's ironic how I have kind of spoken in the past about I think we need to prepare to go to war and all that, maybe in ill faith and what have you. And ironically, we have people on the streets right now who are armed, shall I say, who are literally going out like they're going out to have a gang war or something with stroke number 2, the machetes and the knives and all that stuff. So it begs the question. We have people that are already committing violence in the middle of our streets. How do we deal with it? How do we deal with a government that is effectively trying to kill us all, is the way I look at it. I can't see it any other way because they are effectively trying to replace us.
Well,
What are your thoughts?
my solution, like even to the Labour Party, is simple. Like it's not just about getting reform in or getting whoever in to deport and all the rest of it. There's no question that we need to deport thousands and thousands of fighting age men back out of the country. There's no doubt about that. And I'm not even going to entertain any arguments about diversity and multicultural. These men are fighting age men who travel through 5 different countries to get here. You know what I mean? And we now know that quite a lot of these men have been kicked out of other Muslim countries because they're not wanted, or they've been released from prison and they've been sent to Europe. Because like Qatar and Saudi Arabia and these places, all these places, Iraq, Afghanistan, they do have laws. And you can't just run about like they've got Sharia law. They whip you, cut your hands off, behead you, all that carry on. Now, what criminal is going to stay in a country like that when they can come to Britain and be a criminal? You're going to go to prison, get a PlayStation. You know what I mean? That's what happens in Britain. If you commit a crime in Britain, you go to prison and they give you a PlayStation or an Xbox, and you get the gym and you get great food and you get clean bedding every week. It's compared to what I always say to people over here. The problem is these guys are coming from such horrendous places. When they come here, prison's like a holiday camp. Prison's like a boys' camp for them. It's not prison to them. They're quite happy. A lot of guys that are coming from places that are so bad, and it's only because that they're bad. Let's not forget that. They're coming from countries because they can't behave the way they want to behave, or they're being wanted for something, and they come here, and yeah, they would rather go to prison in this country than go back to that country. But like I say, that's not my problem. You know, that's not your problem. It's not our problem. It's not my child's problem neither. Who's going to be like, hopefully going into politics when she's in her 20s and that. You know what I mean? Fingers crossed. You know, but yeah, I don't know, mate. I do think that it's gone too far, and unless we get somebody that's going to deport, because we need to take the risk factor out. If we're saying, if clever people are warning us today that in 40 years' time England will no longer be England, then we need to make measures that that doesn't happen. And the only way we can do that is by deporting men who have broken into the country illegally. And these men, and this is how easy it is, Arthur, all these men, the bad ones, are coming here and they go straight on the universal credit and they get adult disability. And they're the ones, if you've been here for a year and you're still getting universal credit, then it's time to go. So it's not hard to work out who the good guys and who the bad guys are. You know. Go ahead, buddy.
I mean,
I understand.
it's kind of funny because the way I look at it is, I can still remember when I was on, what was it? And it disappoints me that I was on it for so long, quite frankly. But I was on it for, like, if I recall when I first went on, was it like 5 years or something? It was something crazy. I know it was something like 4 or 5 years I ended up on the dole. I shouldn't have been on that for so long. Though devil's advocate here, my autism kind of makes it a little bit hard for me to socialize and all that, which means the administration positions I kind of perform makes it a bit difficult.
Yeah.
But to play devil's advocate to the criminals as well, because after all, Satan does have a good lawyer.
Yeah.
Anyway, the fact of the matter is, I can't really wholly blame these criminals for flouting the law. Like, they're still bastards, let's put it that way, to be clear. But if I was a criminal and I saw how this justice system works, and I saw how effectively they don't even get anything, you'll be lucky if you see a slap on the wrist anymore. Quite frankly, it's more like a warm hug and here you go, love, here's a nice warm bed for you, have a nice cup of tea and make yourself comfortable and we'll pay the rent for you, basically. Like, can you really blame them for doing this? It's like, we're basically handing them free living. And I think one of the most important things we need to do is not even just deport these people. It's, we have got to take away the incentives. We have got to remove the motivation they have to come over here. Think about it. We have all those smash the gangs people, you know, those people, the people traffickers, the smugglers and all that.
There is no people, smugglers. There is no people smugglers. That's a myth. That's a myth. These guys are doing this on their own. Imagine it was me, you, and a few of our mates, and we were in France trying to get to Britain. What do? You get your money together, you buy a wee dinghy, and you get a wee outboard motor, and away you go. You don't need a people smuggler to do that. This isn't high-tech stuff. It's a channel. It's the English Channel. It's not the Mediterranean Sea. You know, it's what, 49 long? You know, it's not hard. And I honestly believe the people smugglers are the NGOs over there helping them. The NGOs that are here, the lifeguard, the Royal Navy, they're the people smugglers. They're the ones assisting these men to get to Britain. They're the ones going out and bring them, escorting them here. You know what I mean? Go ahead. Sorry, mate. Go ahead.
No, it's all right. I mean, hell, if anything, that's probably put it into another perspective for me more than anything. And I see a very logical point in that they don't really need to pay people like £2,000 or £3,000. Maybe you are right in thinking that is a complete myth.
Look at it like this. Let's take away the smuggling gangs, right? Let's accept that there is no smuggling gangs. What else could Keir Starmer say or do? What else has he got? If he hasn't got, I'm going to smash the smuggling gangs. And, you know, if that wasn't there for him to say, what would he say? You tell me, what do you think? He's got nothing. He's got nothing. That's why the smuggling gangs are really important to him. And that's why it's important to us that we get to point out that there is no smuggling gangs, you know? Go ahead.
I see your point. I completely see the point entirely now. But as I said, the first thing we do, cut off the incentives. Because whether they're coming through by people smugglers or whether they're coming through their own volition. Why are they coming over here? They want a piece of benefits Britain. They want a slice of that pie. They want to come over and live at the taxpayer's expense. And all they need to do is pop on a boat, sail across the channel, and not even the whole way, because it feels like our border force is a taxi service for them.
Yeah.
Because it seems to me they do a lot of rescuing, and then rather than question, well, why are they coming over here in the first place? They're like, oh, you know what? We'll help you over. Like,
Yeah.
what? What drugs are you smoking?
Yeah.
What drugs are you doing to have that mentality? Like,
But
if it was me, it would be, right, I will look after yourself. I'll look after you, but we're sending you straight back.
yeah.
And then stab the boat so they can't come back. Okay, sure, they'll go and buy another one, but at least it'll be a start. But ultimately, if we cut the benefits, where's their motivation to come here? All of a
Yeah.
sudden, there'll be no point for them to do that.
Well,
Or if we have like a detention center or several across the coast, that way, if they come over and we see them, we process them, see what their backgrounds are, see what they've been doing, and if they are a criminal or they are trying to come over illegally, then we turn them around, send them straight back.
yeah,
But the
definitely.
bottom
Just bring the kettle on. I need coffee. So yeah, basically,
line, oh dear.
I've
But
worked, I've
the
worked out,
bottom line. Oh, sorry.
I've worked out that we're spending 1.5 billion a month on universal credit on foreigners, because it's not hard to work out. It really isn't hard to work out. And basically, these people are getting £2,000 each a month between universal credit and adult disability. Because like there's reports that like I know there was a guy that came over that said he snores. Because he snores, he's getting like £400 cash a month extra on top of his universal credit. And these are NGOs that help these guys fill out the forms. And I've got old people that live in my area don't even know what they're entitled to, because you don't in this country, as far as social benefits go, universal credit, adult disability, it's not set up in a way where if you're unemployed, straight away the government will go, right, here you go, this is what you get. You've got to go out and find out what you have to get, and not everybody's capable. Not everybody knows or can sit on the phone and and all the rest of it. But these guys have got interpreters. And I've heard the bill for interpreters is in the millions and millions and millions. What the government are forking out on just interpreters, so these guys can get interpreters everywhere they go. If they get arrested, they get interpreters. If they go to social, they get interpreters. Everything they've got to have interpreters, and these guys can speak English. They're just taking whatever they can get.
Yeah, they're basically playing the game, is what it is. They are pretending they can't speak English, even though there are quite a few countries out there, whether it be the third world or whether it be the Middle East or whether it be wherever they're coming from. And a lot of these people, they probably do at least a little bit of good English, because English is, I think it's Mandarin English or something like that. That is the most popular language. If I'm
Yeah,
wrong, please
yeah,
correct me. But the way I slice it is, if this is how much the interpreters are being paid, then it also begs the question, why are we wasting time with people that are entering the country illegally? As I said, if I see anyone that comes in illegally, the first thing I'd be doing is sending them straight back. And then
yeah,
I'd take a photograph of them so that if I see that they're trying this again, instantly send them back. As soon as you take away the means for them to be able to come in with anonymity and take away their means to be able to claim benefits and what have you. So, for example, if we were to say to each and every single one of these people that come in, you're
yeah.
not allowed to claim benefits for the next 3 years, it will encourage them. They have to get a job. They have to get qualifications. They have to get experience so that then they have to contribute to our society to
Yeah,
get out,
yeah,
to
yeah.
get out from.
This
That's the
is
way I look at it.
this is the thing, Arthur. Like, I've got friends, Russian friends, Ukrainian friends, Lithuanian friends. I've got a really good friend who's from Africa, and he came here. I don't know if he's came illegally or not. It was a long time ago. He speaks with a Cockney accent. He's been here that long. You know what I mean? But his family are all African. They all have the African dress, and he is integrated. Works, goes to the pub, plays football. He integrates. He's just like one of us. There's no difference between him. Obviously, the skin color is different. You know what I mean? But that's it. If he was on the phone to you, you wouldn't know that he was from a foreign country, and he classes himself as a Scottish guy, and that's what it's all about. That's what we want. That's what we expect. We expect people to come here and become us, become part of
Yeah.
our society, integrate. It's not hard, like, you know what I mean. But like you said, you said there, like, why, we know now why, right? I'm going to say it. Replacement. No two ways about it. Something's gone on. Something's happened. And when the Labour were in, whenever Tony Blair was in, I personally believe, and this is far out there, man. This is far out there. This is what I tell my friends. I personally believe that there's a deal that's been done with the Muslim countries around the world to use Britain as an overflow for them. And I think our country's been sold down the river, and it is inevitable that Britain will become a Muslim state. There's no two ways about it. And I can remember when ISIS were going, and I can remember them doing. Remember whenever Iraq, the Iraq War, and then we had 9/11, and then we had ISIS in Syria and Iraq, and they were doing videos. And I can remember 10 years ago that they were saying that there's going to be the Islamic State flag will fly over 10 Downing Street and Buckingham Palace one day. And they were 110% sure of this. And I just think it's a bit of a coincidence that they were making them statements 10 years ago, and we are where we are today. We have cities and towns in England that are completely and utterly Muslim areas with Sharia courts and churches that are now mosques. That's replacement. That is a replacement. There's no two ways about it. You know.
Right. And if one of my 5 years max, I think we'll be lucky if we have that lot. We'll be lucky if we have a couple of years maximum. Quite frankly, the way this country is going is it's not just a little downward spiral anymore. It's a steep drop off a cliff. The way
Yeah.
we've got, as said, we've got a treacherous prime minister who is ruling this country with an iron fist. We've got Islamic countries literally throwing over these people
Yeah.
to basically replace us, as you rightly said. We have a overflow in the NHS, waiting lists are up the wazoo. And when I
Yeah.
said about the drugs and what have you, because right now I need to be taking these painkillers because of the toothache I've got, and I've been told I'm on the waiting list. How long am I going to have to fucking wait on that shit? Because of the amount of people that are coming over here, the migrants, they're being given priority to get in the NHS.
Yeah. Well,
That doesn't make any sense to me.
I seen
Like,
a video. The NHS are coming out to them at the hotels. They're not even having to go to the doctor's surgery. It's the doctors are going to them. They are getting priority. We've got people who aren't getting appointments and that are dying because they're not getting the scans and check for cancer cells, and they're leaving it too long, and these people aren't surviving. That's how bad things are got. We've got doctors and nurses leaving this country en masse because you got to understand as well, right? You've got I've just had a baby girl, and I'm just gonna talk totally blunt and open, right? So my experience every single time, and my mother-in-law, my partner, all my friends, everybody that knows me, know all this, right? And every time that we went to hospital, we were waiting far too long, and half the waiting room was foreigners. Now, I'm not saying that foreigners should not be getting any medical. I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is there was an 18-year-old girl pregnant that had been there for 8 hours. Now, this isn't accident and emergency. This is for pregnant women. This is like the accident and emergency for pregnant women. And we had a girl sitting for 8 hours. A nurse, I don't know who she was. She was in plain clothes. Came out and apologized to everybody, saying that there was no doctors. You know. So every time we went to hospital, every single time there was a problem. There was a problem with doctors. There was a problem with waiting. They were moving pregnant women from Edinburgh across the bridge up north to Fife because there was no room. And at the same time, like I say, I've got a Muslim next door to me, in the curtain next door to me, and I've got a Muslim in the bed facing me. You get me? And then there was one time there was 5 African families. And like I want to keep on saying this, I'm not saying they shouldn't get. Obviously, they're here. They're entitled to it. What I'm saying is that's the sign of the reason why we're crumbling. Why the NHS is the nick it's in. We can't keep going. We can't keep going. I can see the damage now. What's it going to be like in 2, 3, 4 years time? You know.
5 or 10. Like, it's unbearable. It's unthinkable to think of all this. And I'm of practically the same belief. I don't believe. Well, sorry, I do believe that should get care. What I have a problem with is when foreign people are being given priority over, one, British people, and two, people who genuinely need it, like right now. Like when you're in A&E and you've got someone who's sitting there and I don't know, maybe they've got sepsis or something and they need treatment now or they'll die. And then you've got people who are coming over, oh, I broke a nail. Sorry, no, broke a wrist or something. And then they're getting prioritized. You just think, what the hell are you thinking?
Yeah.
Like, you need to prioritize the people who pay into this country, the people who pay your wages, the people who pay your bloody taxes. And Keir the traitor Starmer is right now, he said categorically, point blank to us, I will do everything I can to protect the Muslim community. Now, I don't know about anyone else here, and I'm not sure if anybody else knows the definition of sectarianism, but they're effectively prioritizing one section of the community. They are effectively prioritizing Islam. And that does make Keir the traitor Starmer a sectarian bastard, in my humble opinion.
This is something you might realize as well. I don't know how much of my videos you've watched, right? But a lot of my followers, I know I'm repeating myself, guys, but it's just for anybody that's come in from Arthur's channel as well. Hi, Tina. Just before I say this, I just want to say, like, there's wee Cammy, my wee mate. Our local hotel has a nurse's office in it now. So we've got a hotel just up the road, full of immigrants, and they've actually got a nurse's room in there. They've got their own doctor's room in the hotel. You know what I mean? So, but what I'm saying to you is about the sectarianism. So in Northern Ireland, the biggest problem that we had in Belfast, London, Derry, most of the places, or Derry, as others might like to call it, is whenever you have segregated areas, if you've got an area, I come from a Protestant area. I never met a Catholic until I was 18 years old. Yeah, I threw stones at them, but I'd never sat down and spoke to a Catholic until I was 18 years old. And I've never had a Catholic around me. They never had me, Protestants around them. We were segregated communities. We had peace walls between our communities. So what happens when you segregate communities? Extremism rises, because if you've got a group of people that are all the same, like Catholics, Protestants, and you've got the IRA and the UVF, these organizations grow in these areas because everybody's so scared to say anything, and everybody's so scared to complain. So if I'm in a loyalist area and sectarianism is rising and extremism is rising, and I start going, oh, I'm not happy about this, you shouldn't be doing that, and guns got found in the street next to me, people would start pointing the fingers at me. And this is the problem what we've got in England. They're segregating the communities. You've got Muslim areas the policemen can't go into, as we've seen in Leeds, correct? That's what that was about. They couldn't go in and get them kids out. So therefore, extremism is going to blossom in these areas. And the government, I don't think the government, I don't, maybe they do, but I can tell you now that any extremism in this country is going to be massive. It's going to explode. They're going to grow. They're going to get big because of the way the government have got them all. They've got them in their own areas, and that's a big problem. That is a big problem, and we're going to see the repercussions of that as we go forward.
I 100% agree with that. I think, as far as that's concerned, I think, ironically, you've basically told me to steer clear of trying to go down the wrong path. Ironically, I think the country may be going down the wrong path, whether we bloody like it or not, because of what's happening with all extremism, the no-go zones, the two-tier policing, two-tier justice. And effectively, we're going to end up in a situation where, ironically, we will end up in a civil war, but it may not even be us who start it. It may be the extremists on the other side. It may be Islam, it might be far left, it may be Pope. We don't know that. But what I do know is that things like this simply cannot continue. No. If we want to have any kind of cohesion and trust, even devil's advocate here, even in Islam, you've got to be open and honest. Because if you're trying to say, no, you can't go in there, well, what's the first thing that's going to come to mind? Why are they not allowing us in there? Why are they not allowing us to basically go into these areas to see if everything's all right? Alarm bells should be ringing louder than the bloody cathedral bells.
Yeah, and people say to me about moderate Muslims and all that, and there's peaceful Muslims and all that, and totally get it. That I know Muslims, amazing guys, absolutely amazing guys. Mostly Sunni, I'll be honest, but amazing guys. And the thing is basically, because of these areas are segregated and because extremism is in these areas, these moderate Muslims will not have a voice. And just like we see in Gaza, like with Gaza, you remember on the 7th of October, whenever they took the hostages out of Gaza, and all the Gazians were all cheering and clapping as they were bringing the hostages. You get me? Now, now you've got to ask yourself, is everybody in Gaza an extremist? Because everybody's clapping of all these Israelis. Some of these girls were covered in blood. Some of these girls had already been abused before they were getting abused on the way back in Israel. And these people were clapping and cheering. So you can understand, this is what you got to understand. These people have got no choice to clap and cheer. If they don't clap and cheer, then people will point fingers at them if something goes wrong. And that's what's going to happen in the areas in England. There won't be any moderate Muslims because they'll be scared to speak up,
I agree. Like, I can't really see a position where they can really win in that situation. It really is a catch-22. On the one hand, if you're not clapping, as you say, people point fingers. If you do end up clapping for the hostages, and let me be clear on this. As far as this Israeli-Gaza war is concerned, for the non-combatants, quite frankly, because I would not wish anything bad onto those who would not know of battle and would not seek it. I have a very, very big problem when actual war crimes are being committed. I sometimes joke in my gaming, but jokes aside, there are times where you have to realize these are serious crimes people are committing, and I do accept maybe there is an issue with Netanyahu. Maybe he did blow up a few people that did not deserve it. I would also say the same thing of Palestine. I would say they've probably blown up.
I'm going to interject because I'm not. I don't get involved with the Israeli thing, but I'll be honest with you. In this day and age, Arthur, it's not acceptable for collateral damage. This isn't the 1930s. This isn't World War I and II. In this day and age, with the technology that we have, we shouldn't be killing children. We shouldn't be killing children and women. There's no excuse for that. And that goes for both sides. Obviously, you got the Hamas are a terrorist organization, so they're I've got no respect, no time. They deserve everything they get. But Israel, at the same time, with the amount of power they have, the technology, the support from America, did they really need to do what they did? I don't think so. I think there was a lot of hatred there, a lot of extremism uh, from Israel, and that's what I think. You know, that's my personal views. You know what I mean? Like I said, I don't touch on it in my channels. I do not support Israel only because of the civilian casualties and the children that have been killed. Whether they were clapping or not, it's got nothing to do with it. There's no reason to kill children in this
No,
in 2025. You know.
like I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy's children, to be honest. And put simply, the way I see it, any war is bad, any crime is bad. And as I said, I would not wish death or harm or injury or whatever to non-combatants. I
Yeah.
would never do that.
Yeah. So let's change it. So reform. Nigel Farage. What should be honest? Be honest. It's a dodgy subject because honestly,
I mean, right, in all seriousness, I think when I first saw Farage back yonder, when he was fighting for Brexit and what have you, I thought this guy could well be the guy we need. I thought he knows his stuff, he's witty, a bit like me, and he's able to give it the absolute best he can and just stick it to him. But he doesn't have to use this. He uses elegant words, and it's brilliant. But unfortunately, I feel like Farage is, and maybe I'm over exaggerating here, but I feel like he was an angel that flew down from heaven, and all of a sudden his wings have gotten clipped. Quite frankly, I think he's made some grave mistakes as far as slandering people who are supportive of Tommy Robinson, and I think he made an even bigger mistake by libelously slandering him by calling him a woman beater and wife abuser when he didn't do any research. And when Tommy's ex-wife is even coming out and saying, my ex-husband didn't do this, and there's been no point where he's been arrested or charged with violence against women, I think the way I look at it, his reputation has just gone up in smoke, just like that. All because he got a little too impulsive. And
I don't agree. I don't agree with impulsive, but whenever I always say to people, Tommy Robinson, like obviously it's Stephen. I always like to take the human part of it. Like when we talk about Tommy Robinson, we're talking about the movement. You know, Stephen is the human being who's suffering, but the Tommy Robinson movement is another thing. And I've always, over the years, look like yourself. Once I say this, you'll probably agree with me. Looking back over the years, there's a certain category of people that go against Tommy Robinson, you know, and that category is quite simply the establishment and anybody that works for the establishment. They're, i.e., Hope Not Hate, Nick Rolls, the newspapers, Sky News, BBC News, Newsnight, all them. Right? So it's very easy for me then to judge people just by their views on Tommy Robinson because you know he's an open book. There's nothing. There's no skeletons in the closet. There's nothing going to jump out and go, oh, we didn't know that about Tommy Robinson. Believe you me, if there was anything there, it would have been dragged out long time ago. So we know there's nothing there. There's nothing bad. There's nothing that's going to jump out. There's no reason why a politician cannot get behind Tommy Robinson. So therefore, if a politician does not get behind or Tommy Robinson, then that proves to me that they are no better than Labour or Conservatives. They're just the establishment. And that's a lot of people don't realise that because they're desperate. There's no, who else is there? Nick's not, UKIP's not big enough, you know, and people are desperate. So they're clinging on to Nigel Farage and they don't want to hear certain things. But the facts are, he came out in the top, he came out and attacked Tommy Robinson. He came out and attacked Tommy Robinson, and there was no need for him to do that. And you got to ask yourself, why did he do it? And the fact that they all done it around about the same time, the leadership, that tells me something else is going on above them. And another thing with Nigel Farage, whenever he got his bank, remember he got his bank thingied. Do you
Oh yeah,
remember?
when his people were frozen because of his political views.
I reckon that was the establishment putting a shot across his bows. They say to him, "Hey, you, we're watching you. Calm yourself down." You know what I mean? And I do believe that Nigel Farage is working for the establishment, and the establishment are quite happy with reform getting in to power because just like Brexit, Nigel Farage is going to take us to the winning line, and then he's going to run off. He's going to, just like Brexit, he's going to run off. And look what Brexit was, a disaster. And everybody goes, Nigel Farage is this. Nigel Farage should have stayed and finished the job and made sure Brexit was carried out the way it should have been carried out instead of leaving it to the Tories and Labour to destroy it. You know what I mean? And I just think that there's characters out there that he's talking. Like oh, you just got to listen to him. He's wanting to take the Muslim community with us. He's wanting to take the Muslim community with him. He doesn't realize the Muslim community aren't going to go with him. He doesn't get that, you know. Yes, there will be some Muslims, but have you seen that guy, the lawyer who was a lawyer for them two scumbags in the Manchester airport thing? The first lawyer that they had. I can't mind his name.
I can't remember his name either personally.
Horrible looking guy. Well, they've started another movement. They've started another umbrella Muslim political movement that's just started the last few days. I'll send you a link through X. But they're not interested in going with us. You know, they aren't. They want to go on their own. They want their own Muslim councillors to run their own Muslim areas. You know, there's no inclusion. You know, it's, you know, I don't understand why Nigel can't just be honest and say we need to get in the power so we can deport these bad men out of the country and then reevaluate immigration and let's get, because this is another thing. There's hundreds of thousands of women and children around this world being persecuted in Muslim countries, either because they're children or because they're women, and they're trying to get refuge to Britain. And every time a boat comes in this country full of young men, they're taking the places of young women and children who need refuge. You understand? There's no excuse to keep these men. There's no excuse not to deport them. There's no argument to be made for the case for them to stay. You get me?
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, take them and bring people that really need our refuge, people that need our help. You know, taxpayers do not want to be giving their tax money over to young scallywags that are just breaking into the country. Taxpayers are quite happy paying a wee bit to help people out. You know, we're a kind, the British are really kind-hearted souls, and we're really generous, we're really considerate, and that's the problem, mate. We're too kind, we're too considerate, and that needs to change. We need politicians to say these things. You know, we need politicians to say, right, no more Mr. Nice Guy. You have taken the piss out of us long enough. Boom, borders shut, and then what Trump's doing right now, army airplanes to all their different countries, Pakistan, you know, and I know that they can put these people back into their countries, you know what I mean? We know that. It's happened, you know. It's frustrating. It's frustrating. It is really, really frustrating. It's frustrating as a YouTube, doing YouTubes and that, because everybody's wanting the answers. Everybody's wanting you to tell them what do we do. And it is difficult. It is so fucking difficult because I don't have the answers. I really don't. You know, me and you, it's not our pay grade. We're here to let people know that you're not on your own. There are loads of us are all thinking the exact same thing. And the problem is everybody's being silenced. And that's why our voices are so important, because so many voices are being silenced and a lot of people are scared to say some of the things that we say. And that therefore leaves the rest of our population with nobody. So that's what I love about your channel, what you've done for me at the very start, because I've only been doing this for since Southport. So when I was watching you as a follower, you were saying all the things I was thinking, you know, and like I went through a bad time and I lost my wife, and I was like Paz, you and Paz were one of my main YouTubers, and you've made a difference. You do make a difference to people's lives, even though people don't come on every time and go, you know what, I was in a really bad place, and your YouTube channels every day or every couple of days have lifted me up a wee bit. People don't actually take the time to say that, but I'm telling you now, I know that for a fact. Our YouTube channels are doing a lot of good, and the main thing I want to get across tonight to you is it's very important you don't lose your YouTube channel because you're getting too emotional, you know. I don't think it's a good idea using the terminology, the Germans, that side of things, you know, the Nazi and Hitler. I think there's certain things you just don't give them the ammunition, you know. I know a guy up here that got took the court for getting his pug to do a sea trial. His pug was bringing his paw up and he videoed
Thank
it.
you. I know
Huh?
about that all too well. You're absolutely right. I mean, there are occasions where I do get impulsive, as I've said before. I sometimes do get impulsive, and all of a sudden it's just like, and it all just comes out. And I'm the sort of person who, I guess, sometimes when I try to be as blunt as I am, blunt as an atom bomb in some cases, is sometimes I end up overstepping it, and all of a sudden some quote unquote innocent ground, metaphorically speaking, ends up getting hit because of it. And that can obviously get me into a lot of trouble.
Yeah,
I do accept that. And I think I said that in the response that I did as well. I do accept that I have got a bit of a problem with wearing my heart as a bicep and being a bit too blasé. I do 100% accept that.
yeah.
As far as losing the channel is concerned, the way I slice it, when I went from 500 to 3,500 subscribers in an instant, that to me, there was a little voice upstairs that was saying, you know what, you've been given a second chance, but there's not going to be a third.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it more
Yeah,
than
yeah, yeah.
anything.
Well, I think what you need to do is understand what you bring to people. I think YouTube channels, there's a lot of because a lot of people that watch our channels, some of them don't leave the house, you know. There's so many different circumstances and so many different things, and we mean an awful lot. Not to everybody. We're not big, but some people we mean an awful lot to. You know what I mean? And like I like to bring a video out every day because like it's a routine now, and people are in a routine, and I don't want to let my followers down. And I think it's important that if you get that into your head that you know it's not just about you, it's about the people that's following you, the people that take the time to like your videos, leave comments, then that's where you're going to be okay. If you start thinking like that, if you lose your channel, you can start on our channel. We'll get you back up. Me, Paz, Olive, Paul, Richard, we will get your channel back up. Don't worry about that. But the thing is you know, some people might not catch you ever again. You know, it's a big world out there. The big YouTube channels, it's massive, and you know, some people would miss out. You know, and think of it like that when you're dealing with it. And, you know, and because you don't write nothing down, you're unscripted. It's difficult when you're unscripted, mate. You know, it really is. When you just like you're just talking. I was saying to my mate today, like, you know, we were talking about it today. John, it's on John Capone, and we were saying like, yeah, it's like you talk as if you're talking to your mates in the pub. You know what I mean? When you do, and you can't do that.
It's ironic because I have never gone to the pub on like one of those places where you just go and you have a couple of pints and what have you. Because I haven't drunk. Well, actually, no, that's not true. I have drunk alcohol, and I may not have told this story to some of your people, but I will go off on a tangent here. Yeah, I'll say a little bit of a story of what happened to me. And this was when I was 11, so I was extremely irresponsible for this, let me tell you. But me and my granddad, God rest his soul, my nan and my sister, we all went to Torremolinos. This was our second time going over there. Now, it was the night before we were supposed to go back to good old Britain. So what we had done at the time, we were just spending our time in the swimming pool and just basically enjoying ourselves. I think we both accidentally ingested chlorine water, which did not help our case. But then Grandad, God rest his soul, had this genius idea And you can just dread to think now. But he brought us into a bar, bought us both a couple of cocktails. We drank them. Fuck knows why. Common sense just throw it out the window.
I'll be doing a lot
Yeah.
worse than 11. Trust me. You know?
Yeah, but that's not even the whole story. So after that, later in the night, we went to and what have you, just enjoy ourselves. And we ended up having a bottle of cheap sherry as well. So you can imagine 2 cocktails, a sherry, chlorine water, all combined in children's bodies, not even teenagers. And then we're trying to go to bed. Yeah, it's not going to end well, I'm afraid. And we were literally just sitting on the bed for the entire evening, not even a single wink slept. We were just hurling all 6, 7, 8 hours before our little like 3, 4 o'clock taxi to take us to the airport and fly back. I think that might have had just a small influence on why I don't drink alcohol.
2 seconds, mate. So Debbie Burgess. So me and Debbie's had a wee bit of a spat today, and I've got nothing but love for everybody. We don't agree, and Debbie seems to think like her comment today to me was, I need to grow up, and that I love hating on Nigel, right? And you know, Debbie, like I said in my comment, I'm not hating on the guy. I'm not here to hate on anybody. I don't have any hate on my heart. I'm only looking at things logically, and I bring what I think and what I see to my platform, to my followers. Now, I see you've just left a comment saying Nigel is relevant. Tommy is not. The reason why Nigel is relevant right now is because Nigel is getting all the coverage on TV. Tommy Robinson has been silenced for the last 15 years. Can you imagine what that's like to be silenced? To have everybody in the country, every newspaper, every news slagging you, calling you far right racist, and you have no way of replying because you're being silenced. Now, if you think that's fair, then maybe you should look a wee bit into yourself. But all I'm going to say to you, Debbie, about Nigel is only time will tell. Only time will tell. And I truly do hope that you are right, Debbie. I hope that you're right, that Nigel is a man that you think he is, and he delivers what you want him to deliver. But I honestly think you should look at Tommy a wee bit more closely and do a wee bit more research about the guy before you start actually saying stuff like that on a platform full of Tommy Robinson supporters. Sorry, mate. Go ahead. I'm not blocking her. I don't do none of that. Like,
I mean, I hope you don't mind me putting in my 2 cents as well.
Yeah.
With another 5-minute note. Anyway, I think the point is, Debbie, is it isn't fair what Tommy Robinson is going through. Now, I accept that he is in jail because he pled guilty to contempt of court. Though I'll have my own opinions on that, but we don't have time to go into that.
Yeah.
But I'll ask you this question. Do you think it's categorically fair that a man has been effectively unable to respond to the constant slander and the allegations that are put towards Tommy Robinson because of who he is rather than what he's done? Now, if he was an actual terrorist or something, maybe you could probably claw an argument in there for that. But the trouble is, he had, as Freedom Dad has rightly said, he's received basically complete silence ever since, or contempt of
Right,
court.
James. Right. Good night, James. Thanks for the shout out. Thanks for asking people to subscribe. And I'll catch you again, James. Go ahead, mate. Sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
Now, so I personally don't think it's very fair at all that Tommy Robinson is in jail and he has been treated with radio silence here.
Yeah.
Now, I'll again play a little bit of devil's advocate. I can understand why the media are doing it. I can understand why the government are doing it. Because if they give him credibility to the supposed far right, wherever they are, I've yet to see them. But I digress. Nigel Farage, on the other hand, has had a substantial amount of cover, again, as Freedom Dad has said. And I would say that there are some good decisions and some good things that he's done, just like Tommy Robinson's done some good things. But as far as some of the more recent decisions, I think Nigel Farage has got it completely wrong, in my humble opinion.
Yeah.
And everyone has their right to have an opinion, and you can agree to disagree and vice versa. But he shouldn't have gone out. There were some things that he just did not need to do. Like, I'm not sitting here saying that Nigel Farage should be sitting here polishing Tommy Robertson's shoes and cleaning his halo and what have you. I'm not accepting to the pie. Tommy's already said that. What I am saying, though, is if you don't have anything constructive to say, just zip it, put simply.
Yeah, if you don't have the information, do the research. This is the problem. A lot of people are they truly there's so many people still today think Tommy Robinson is far right and a racist because of the multimedia and the government. You know, I don't think there's a prime minister in the last 20 years, 15 years that hasn't mentioned Tommy Robinson being far right. Who else do you know, a civilian, a young man, this is just a young man from Luton, has had so much attention from so many governments? And then you got to ask yourself, why? And then we see now why. Because the grooming gangs, they were wanting everybody not to know about it. They didn't want you knowing what was coming to your area. Tommy Robinson was warning everybody, this is what's happening in Luton, and it's coming to a town near you. 15 years later, we've got 50 towns, 50 towns and cities up and down the breadth of Britain that we know. That's all that we know. Or now,
That's basically they're willing to let us know on. How many do you think, realistically, they're not letting us know about? Like, just that thought alone is scary. Like, it makes me puke just thinking about it. Like, you can't sit there and say Tommy has done no good, or Tommy is this far-right racist football hooligan blah, 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 and all that stuff. You can't, because you've got to actually provide evidence to back that up. What is your proof that he is like this? I have said this a lot of times on my channel. If somebody says he's insert generic comment here, because I don't really want to say it all too much again. Say that I have a 3-word answer for them. Where's your proof? And 99 cases out of 100, you will never find anyone who is able to provide a source. There was one person who tried to discredit him that I had on one of my videos, left a comment, left a source about, oh, do you know about he assaulted a copper? But he didn't provide the context for it, while I did. The context of that story was an off-duty police officer was harassing Tommy Robertson's now ex-wife. He was harassing her. Tommy was within his rights to stop that from harassing her. And he was right to attack him, but let me be clear on this. The only time he stepped into the wrong was when that officer was down and he put his foot down on his head. That's it. That was the criminal conviction, or the criminal act that got him a conviction for that. That's just
many years ago. But I'm going to tell you what I think happened with Nigel Farage and reform. This is exactly, and this is, you can take this to the bank. So basically, whenever Elon Musk, and it wasn't just Elon Musk, there's a lot of, I think, of what I'm hearing is Barron Trump is taking a big interest in Tommy Robinson, along with another couple of Trumps and other high-ranking American officials. And Nigel Farage can see that if Tommy Robinson, you're talking Tommy Robinson, probably, if Tommy Robinson had the access to the platforms properly, he could probably pull between 500,000 to 1 million people out onto the streets on a protest. I do believe that. Now, if that's what that man can do, getting people out of their houses onto the street, can you imagine what he could do at the ballot? Could you imagine what he could do at the ballot box? So Nigel Farage sees Tommy Robinson as a threat, because Nigel Farage wants to be leader of the United Kingdom. He wants to have the crown. Nigel Farage, I think, is a narcissist, and he needs that. He needs that. And whenever you get a narcissist, and that narcissist is being threatened, that's when narcissists become really extreme. And that's where we seen the comment about the wife beating, the women beating. That was desperation. That was to turn the public against Tommy because he doesn't want Tommy coming out of prison. Elon Musk and Trump going, you know what? We don't want to talk to you. We want to talk to Tommy Robinson. You know what, Starmer? We don't want to talk to you neither. We want to talk to Tommy Robinson. Could you imagine all the companies around the world starting to say that, you know what? We want to talk to Tommy Robinson. You know,
I mean,
can you imagine Tommy Robinson getting on Newsnight, getting on Sky, getting on BBC, the public actually finding out what we know about Tommy Robinson? Can you imagine the whole country finding that out? Tommy Robinson would be Prime Minister like that. And that's what scares the establishment. That's what scares the people above the establishment, the millionaires, BlackRock, the people who are actually pulling the strings for Starmer. That's what scares these people because for the first time in Britain, a working class guy could become so powerful, it could take them all off their seats. And that's the truth. Tommy Robinson is so popular now that he is a threat to the British government. And that's the truth.
and
100%.
he is a complete threat to the government.
Yeah.
Effectively, the oligarchy. He is threatening that very bubble that those in power would love to hold on to. Nobody likes to give up power that easily or money.
Yeah.
And as we know, money and power, they corrupt. And if Tommy Robinson was even given 5 minutes of airtime on any media platform,
Yeah.
he would, the media outlook would just disintegrate
Yeah.
if they tried to get him with those classic gotcha questions. And then we saw what happened when Panorama, John Sweeney, tried to get him on a text that wasn't even sent by Tommy. It was sent on a fake texting site. And then all of a sudden, he got stitched up royally when it turned out that John Sweeney was homophobic. So, yeah, that's the thing. I don't know if you know about it. So effectively, it was turned out Lucy Brown, who I don't think is friends with me anymore, but when she was at the time, she went undercover for Tommy Robinson.
Right.
And effectively went in. I've got this story, blah, blah, blah. What can we do with it? And Sweeney was saying we can turn it into a consensual thing, not using the word because. But it's disgusting to think that Sweeney was willing to do that. And then he went on to make some extremely disparaging remarks, homophobic remarks. And you just think, well, hang on a minute. If they keep saying Tommy Robinson's far-right racist, why is it the left? Why is John Sweeney that? Like, that's why they fear Tommy more than anything. It's just the fact that if they have him on his channel, or if he gets his own platform, he'll destroy everyone in seconds. He will tear them apart because they have no substance. Their arguments have about as much substance as a wet piece of toilet paper.
Yeah. Right. So it's I normally have my lives for about 2 hours, mate, because I think 2 hours is about right for a live. So we've got 15 minutes. So if anybody wants to ask Arthur any questions, anything at all, guys, he's an open book like myself. But as you are thinking about something to ask, I just want to say this to you directly, mate. One of the reasons that my knowledge of Tommy Robinson and one of the reasons why I'm able to do this is due to yourself. There's no two ways about it. And I would be I would be out of order not to recognize that because like say you and Paz are the people who create people like me because like I say, I've only been doing this for 5 months. You've been doing this for years. So when I was watching Tommy Robinson, I was watching you. So I was getting your input and your feedback and stuff. So that's created who I am today, and that's created the knowledge I have. You are part of what makes Freedom Dad. And I've said this in the past. I'm not trying to fucking lick up your arse or give you a big head. I'm being as a gentleman. I'm being straight with you. You are part of the reason Freedom Dad is here. There's no doubt about it. And I've never said that to my followers and all that, but I have to admit, I did watch you regularly from the start. So I want to say personally, thank you so much for everything you've done, all the effort you've put in, the problems you've had with your family, problems that you have in work, problems that you have from everywhere, right at the start when we were all far right. You know, that's starting to wear away now, so it is. It is starting to get a bit easier, but at the start, I know how hard it was for you. So personally, thank you so much, Nate, you know, and I hope that gives you a wee bit of confidence going forward, and it gives you an understanding of what you're doing. You know, so sometimes when you're sitting doing this, are you doing the right thing? Could I be doing something better with my time? Yes, you're doing the right thing, and don't stop doing it. Keep doing what you're doing because you're going to create more freedom dads. Please believe me. There's more of me to come because of people like me and you, Paz, Paul Thorpe, Richard Inman, you know, Mayor Tracy.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, Silver
I,
Fox, Andy, Gabby. I don't like naming them all because you always forget somebody. You know what I mean? But we all know who
and
all we all follow the same people.
on top of that as well, it would be like we'd be here all bloody day, and I
Yeah,
want to get my sleep. Well, not maybe not for a few hours, but hey ho, we can't go on about them all day. But the way I look at it, I think everyone's got an ego to some degree. It's just a matter of don't let your ego cloud your judgment. And I guess to finish that off before we Nigel Farage has kind of done that in recent events. I think
yeah,
he's let his, as you say, just basically cloud his judgment,
yeah.
and he tried to hit the mark, and he's gone and flown straight off into the woods.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I don't know if you know this, but because like my mum died when I was 8, and I was in care and then prison like all, most of my life, and so I've got this skill where I can tell a lot about a man just by looking at him. I can when you look at somebody and within 5 minutes, I can get an idea. You know what I mean? Some people can fool me, but 99% of the time, I can read a man pretty well within a couple of minutes. And the problem I have with Nigel Farage is what I'm reading isn't good. What I see isn't good. And it's one of them things that I'm just a guy that does this. Nobody listens to me. And I don't, for these kind of things, I don't have the receipts, you know. And some people would say, oh, you're just mad. But, you know, this is tried and tested. It's kept me alive. It's kept me out of trouble. You know, being in prison, being not a big guy, and being in some of the toughest jails in Scotland, England, and Northern Ireland, and being on my own, no brothers, and always on my own. You have learning to read people is a very, very important skill, and it has served me really well. And I know how good I am on it. And but it's only me that knows that. I can't prove it. And I know that Nigel Farage has got a mask on. What we see, what he does on telly, what he does in front of the camera, isn't the real man. I can see in his eyes the real man, and it's not good. It isn't good. Tommy Robinson, when you look at Tommy Robinson's eyes, you see the real man. You understand what I'm saying? Can you? Everybody's got this skill. It's there. It's right in front of your face. It's just trusting you. Trust yourself. When you look into
Yeah,
some of the eyes, you can see an awful lot. I don't know how it is, what it is, but yeah, that's my position on Nigel Farage and other stuff that he said. I've watched his interviews carefully. I've read between the lines, and I'm not impressed by Nigel. Nigel Farage is not the answer. Reform might be the answer if we can change leadership. And I know
yeah,
people are saying Tommy Robinson says he's not going to get into politics, but I know Tommy Robinson. If our country is in such a state and the only chance we have is Tommy Robinson going into politics, Tommy Robinson will go into politics. Go ahead, buddy.
I'm just going to respond to a comment real quickly from Eddie, who basically says, Matty, what does bus driver think about you doing videos on the bus? Are they okay with it? I'm sure one told you not to swear. Do you remember? Yes, there was one person who did tell me not to swear on the bus, but the that's going to happen at the end of the day. Like, and I'm not the sort of person who minces their words and sugarcoats things. However, I have also had a bus driver who's like, I've seen your videos, or I hear you converse behind me and you're speaking to phone, whatever, and saying about all these issues, whatever the subject may be. And he says he agrees with them and probably has ended up subscribing for all I know. So there's both sides of the spectrum, the way I look at it.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I think at the end of the day, you've got to muster up the courage to be able to speak out about these things. And this is a phrase I often use, you've got to have the ball. Or in my case, to do both. So there you go.
Hey,
And if you don't,
you've got a question
yeah.
from Paddington.
So Paddington says, "How's your gran and your bro? Speak your mind, don't let others both of you." Manan is lovely, bless her. She usually comes around once in a month, and she just comes, brings me a meal because she knows that I tend not to buy a lot of vegetables. I am very, very good at beans and all that shit. So unfortunately, I have to have greens. So that's why she's around. But she's all right, and I really have a bad word to say about Manan. Really, she's been looking after me for God knows how.
We've got P. Diddy in the house. Diddy's here. You see that? That's just somebody taking a piss. That's a funny P. Diddy. Puff Daddy. You know what I mean? I don't know why. I think he's even got his face in his picture. But no, but I'm just going to finish off, mate, and a couple of wee things I just want to say to you as a friend. You know what I mean? I am going to message you on one thing I don't want to talk about on here, and it's nothing thingy. It's just something that you say I don't want you to say. I'm going to chat to you about it, and then once I chat to you, you'll understand. But I want you to turn your phone around when you're doing your videos. Turn your phone around the other way. See when you have to strip. That's the strip. Right. So whenever you do your videos, you always have your phone that way. Turn your phone that way. It's just it fills because most of your followers will be watching on TV, right? So they've got big TVs, and then there's just one wee strip. So you got to see it the way they see it.
I always was curious as to why people were asking me to do landscape. They always be thinking it was just, oh, maybe they just like it so that I'm a certain way or what have you. But I didn't actually realize that that was why people wanted it. I know it seems silly to think that I didn't know about it.
Arthur, you're a pretty big guy not to be doing landscape. You know?
Let's fix it.
Oh, is as sweet as a nut. Yes, John, he is. He's a good lad. We comment. Debbie seems awfully upset. This guy is so full of. Oh, come on, Debbie. I really didn't want to do this to you, man. So I'm going to remove Debbie because we're not having that. We can't have that. You know, we were nice to Debbie. You know, we were nice to her. You know, we have difference of. She says one of us are full of shit. You know, so at the end of the day, there's no need for that. There's no need for that. You know, but yeah.
I often have fun with a lot of people that end up doing like this or like, hi, Peter Griffin. There was actually someone in the chat who actually was like, hi, Peter Griffin. And I think I've started to come to terms. I think they're saying it in more of the kind of derogatory, racist or sizist kind of manner. So it's just a matter of, well, just got to take out the trash, metaphorically speaking. Yeah. That's the way I look at it. And it tends not to bother me for the most part, or sometimes I'll even turn it around and use it as a bit of a storytelling experience more than anything.
Well, I got good advice from Paz. Paz told me, don't entertain the trolls. Don't get into it. Just ignore them, block them, get rid of them. Don't waste any energy on anybody that's not a patriot. You know, simple as that. And a wee trick that I use, this is what I do. So if I get abuse or anything online from anybody, I always imagine it being a little kid behind a keyboard, a little 14-year-old. You get me? And that way, if you look at it like that, just get rid of them. Just a child trying to get a reaction, a wee bored kid, get rid of them, and that's it, you know. Because the far left are coming on and they're just trying to waste your time. They're trying to waste my time. Because if we spend time replying to them, then I'm not replying to one of my followers that need a bit of advice. You get me? So don't let them take up any of your time. Just get rid of them, mate, you know. But I just want to say, I just want to say thanks so much for coming on, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'm totally honoured. Oh, what's up, mate?
I think
Yeah, you're doing it as well. You're doing it as well. It's all right. We're going to wrap it up anyway. But I want to say good night to everybody. I want to say good night to Vanda, Willow Ferry, John Rankin, Sean Ray, James Cahill, James Portis, Shy Atkins, Cuskin, James Porteous, Paddington, Ragish Ghost, Brenda Ghost, Sean Ray, Asher, and John Capone, my good wee man, wee Cammy. Good to see you. Cammy, I want to see you start doing videos. You're a young man, what, you're 18, 17. You should be getting active. I'm going to get you. This is what we need. We need our youth to start doing this because we're on our way out. You know what I mean? Well, you're still young, but you know what I mean? Us older ones, us Generation X are on our way out. We need replacements, guys. So, Vanda, Eddie, P. Diddy, all the usual suspects, guys. Thanks all so much for Max T and Wainwright, Bards, Vanda, of course, always. William Stewart. These are all my usual, my regulars. Jess Connell. Thanks all so much, guys. And thank you so much as well, mate. And we look forward to your future videos. And please try and stay out of prison. Okay? For us.
I'll do my best. The only bars I want to see is maybe of the fence outside. But other than that,
well,
good morning.
Have a good Sunday night and take care. See you soon. Speak to you soon. Good night, guys. Good night, everyone.
Bye-bye.